United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we're just so thankful for another day that you've allowed us to be here, dear God. We ask now that you bless our mayor and our council members, all the department heads, our city manager, that they will all be on one accord, dear Lord, and make decisions that are for the betterment of the citizens of Dillon. Dear Lord, we ask that you bless everyone that is here and bless everyone who may be on their way here. In your name we pray and give thanks. Amen.
Amen.
He's on the way.
That's who she was praying for?
Yeah. His daughter flew into Florence. He went to pick her up.
I want to welcome everybody here on this cool evening. Thank members of the press being here. First of all, I have a motion to approve the agenda.
I need to make an addition.
All right.
In executive session, we have a contractual matter concerning the public defender, which is going to stay, but we also need to add legal advice on a lawsuit that was reported to me.
Okay, y'all heard the addition of a motion.
Make the motion with addition.
Second. All in favor? Opposed? Have motion to approve the minutes from the February 12th regular scheduled meeting and the February 26th second special meeting.
Motion.
Second. All in favor? Opposed? All right. And I'm going to go ahead and start. I may step on your toes a little bit, Glenn. Just tell me if you got it already in your notes, and I'll pass it to you in your comments. I want to remind everybody this coming Saturday of our St. Patrick's Day Festival. Okay, I know the time it's out on the TV, and Betsy will get it in her edition, but people already got it occurred. It's going to be from 11 to 3. For those of you on social media, how about sharing that, posting it, get the word out. It's going to be our first one. Hope the weather holds. We've got a lot of events lined up that day, so the committee did a good job planning it. We hope it's going to be a nice event. Right after that, it's the festival on Main Street, so the staff's going to be busy for the next month and a half, doing a lot of planning, a lot of work. Of course, this festival's nowhere near the size of our Celebrate Main Street, but it's taking a lot of time and a lot of effort. I do appreciate everybody for what they're doing to make that a reality. Okay. Let me say we've gotten ever since Main Street's been on the agenda, things are happening. I hope to elaborate a little bit more about this a little later. That there's a possibility of a nice sized corporate sponsor that wants to talk about Main Street with me. It's brought up by another individual that connected me with him. He has expressed interest in his company of looking at some ideas. He likes what we're doing and what we've done in the form of grants and trying to address Main Street, so he wants to sit down with us and listen to where we're going from here. They will have a stake in Dillon, so I'm excited about getting back to y'all in the next month or two on this and seeing just where he and his company want to go and what are the parameters on how much they want to help and what ideas they got, because they are very experienced in this, and especially where they have a stake in their community. But I'm real excited about it and look forward to it. Staying on Main Street, I'm going to go ahead and let this out the hat. I got a call, I guess a month and a half ago. A gentleman saw something in a publication that I was quoted saying, I don't know what publication it was, about a hotel. So he called me up, or actually emailed me, got a little more information. He got back to me. So we've been in contact a few times. I invited him to Dillon. He came from Columbia 2 or 3 weeks ago. Liked what he saw. I set him up with Rodney, and what they're looking at is I don't know if you want to call it a boutique hotel, but a hotel on Main Street, and it would be the former First Citizens Bank. They have drawn up a letter of intent, so they're serious about it. right in the middle of negotiations on that. I've talked to Glenn a little bit about it, but I think that would be we talked about a cornerstone on Main. I think that's about as good as the city of Dillon can do for the time being. So I set him up with Rodney. Rodney's talked to him. They might have already signed that letter of intent to bring their engineers over here and look at that building. That's doable. They're in that business. They like partnering with smaller communities, smaller towns on Main Street as far as hotels. They really aren't out here on off the exit. That's not what they do. It's an LLC outside of Columbia that's done it before. So I hope you'll hear more about that fairly soon. See where that goes.
I think you need to also just interject there. You talked about hooking him up with Rodney Berry with the county. And the reason is for that Dillon County owns that building.
That's right. Dillon County also owns the parking lot behind that building.
That's
where we own the alley, they own that parking lot, which would also come in. Janet, one thing that I note, I don't look at them, but I don't have any questions on it. But on the, just curious on, I'm sure somebody else up here is, on the Fund 20, on miscellaneous check fees under the revenue section. Why would we be, did you just?
Is this in water and sewer or general fund?
Water sewer.
Where's it at?
Department 31. Just curious where we budget $12,000 in miscellaneous check fees. We've gotten revenue to date of $53,000.
Okay, that's insurance and stuff that we get.
Okay.
Yeah. That's something you never know that you're going to get.
We expect more than that. That's not all of it. Is this still pertaining to the store?
I'd have to go back and look at exactly what it was on.
All right.
Probably the vast majority of it was. Yeah, but this is current 53,000,
yeah.
so not during the month, but yeah.
Probably was. This is also where you line item the grant revenues on the water tank in that fund.
Yeah, right there, water tank.
At the top one, yes.
So they haven't all come in, I think.
No.
Some things some other municipalities do that I'd like to see us do is maybe a few, not many, 2 or 3, and especially those of you that are interested in serving a particular area, is maybe forming, I think you may say we got it, I just don't know, a committee where 2 or 3 of you can serve on a committee. 9 out of 10 times Glenn and I are sitting down with people on various topics. I think it's a way to bring the council members on, let council members drive at the council meeting and get y'all involved a little more if you want to serve on it. I ask this strictly be obviously voluntary. You got to want to do it, got to have the time to do it. Some ideas would be, as an example, Main Street, or the police department, or the fire department, the committees, recreation. Those 4 are the 4 that I thought would be major committees that, if you want to serve on them, I sure would like to have your help. That y'all can bring back to council, rather than me bringing back things or Glenn bringing back things all the time. So you can have it from the perspective of the council members on what y'all want to see done, or what your concerns are. Meeting with those department heads. I just noticed that on some other municipalities that they get involved through the committees. And I think it'd take a little bit off of Glenn unless he wants to sit in on every one of them. But if there's 3 or 4, I think we ought to have committees that bring back to us as a whole. So let them know.
We had these, I think when, prior to you being Mayor McIntyre, she had committees, but I don't think it went very far. And most municipalities do have committees, or either weak mayor, strong council, or strong mayor, weak council form of government, where we're not.
Right.
said, you still can do it if you
Well, I'm
like.
not saying 15 of them, but Main Street, for instance, or recreation, where there's a lot going on. You know, Johnny gets involved with the police department as an example a lot. It'd be perfect for him to bring it to us, where I'm not as much. I'll call David on issues or problems like I did today in our courtyard. But yeah, maybe it's two that's we need. Somebody that's just interested in getting a little more involved as far as the council member. I'm going to go ahead and see if you got it on the. You don't. Well, I'm going to let you go into your report,
Okay.
and then I'll interrupt you if I can when you bring this subject up.
Well, that'd be fine. So the first thing I have, which we were going to talk about last month, that we tabled, if we get some more information, which is golf course lease. In your packet that I sent out to you last week and prior month, you should have copies of what we've generated in revenues from day one and what we've had expenditures since day one. Our lease agreement that we have right now with Twin Lakes Country Club expires May 31st of this year. It's time to determine what you want to do as council as far as the golf course is concerned.
Well, that was on my agenda next.
Yeah, I mean, that's
All right, those of you know, I think the lease is coming up in the end of May, so we right here got to address the golf course. The golf course is a tough call right now. It's something that's weighed on me a couple of nights. You know, I got some on council that's one way, I got council that's screaming on the other way, and I got some of us in the middle. I got a call about Ronnie Carter meeting with Mr. Johnson, and I said, that's fine with me. Those of you that don't know, the council member did not, nor I don't think Glenn spoke with Mr. Johnson on the phone a few weeks back, if I'm correct on that. But we went ahead and let him talk to him. Before Ronnie did, I asked him to come by my office. I just shed him on some, some things he needed to know instead of going in there raw, and let him go see what what he can do from a perspective of somebody that's a member of the golf course, but not on the council. Of course, he didn't have any binding authority whatsoever. Glenn gave y'all in your packet, you'll see the revenues and expenses on the golf course. And so I was doing a little math on that. We're right at spending just shy of $1 million since the beginning of the lease, just shy of 5 years ago. If you take out the initial capital expenditures, I think the $220,000, somewhere in that range, we're spending about $150,000 a month. A year, excuse me, a year. Without that capital improvement outlay at the beginning, we're around $110,000 to $115,000 a year. Okay. Here's some issues why those of us that are, I guess, pro on the golf course. Found out that the golf course, through the various charities that use the golf course, in the last 5 years have raised about $500,000. Give you an example of that. I've got 2 fundraising letters from charities that's having golf tournaments out there. This is close to my heart. With what charities have to do to raise money. One is the American Red Cross. The second one that I'm going to fill out is the Shrine Club that's coming up here in April. That's just 2 the next month. There's been some talk of purchasing the golf course. Is my understanding Glenn has spoke to Mr. Johnson. I about a purchase price of $850,000. That my understanding, Mr. Johnson told Glenn that he's going to stand pat on that as non-negotiable. So I told Ronnie Carter that. He didn't know that. I thought he needed to know that going in, and he appreciated it. He met with Mr. Johnson today, and they talked about all kinds of things. But I asked Ronnie to find out if extending the lease was an option, preferably a 2 or 3 year lease. And Ronnie came back to my office today and said that that he didn't mind extending the lease. He mentioned a 2-year lease because I mentioned that to him. Why I wanted a 2-year lease on the table was that the port is coming in. Now, I've been told by people that have been familiar with that port in Greer that port, his words were, Todd, you don't know how much that port's going to change your community. It's going to radically change Dillon, as you know, more than you can imagine, if it's done anything close to what it's done for Greer. So I'd like to get time on that golf course to incorporate the port from more activity, number one, and number two, another quality of life venue for the people coming to our area. 2 reasons. So that's why I came up with a 2-year lease. Came up with a 2-year lease as being preferable to me is because I think that gives us enough time to gauge the golf course with Dillon's future growth due to the port. Simply that. At the same time, there's no doubt the golf courses around municipalities, everywhere, I guess everywhere, I don't want to say that this in general, but there's no doubt golf courses on a downward trajectory. Mullins is closed, Marion's practically closed, Sherrall's having issues on their state home course, from what I understand. Fairmont's doing very well, from what I understand, over there on theirs. But there, I think it's safe to say golf in the area is just on a downward trajectory. They just sold the golf course at Country Club, South Carolina. So I know that. Also, things can change in 2 years. Mr. Johnson may stay involved with that. He may hand it down to his children. I don't know. That's his prerogative. But I know they're very philanthropic. Things can change. 2 years he may want to give us the things from a tax standpoint. We don't know what type of tax situation comes up, from estate planning to writing off capital gains on another project or whatever. Or his whole situation can change. For people that like to give, that's charitably inclined like they are. With what they do with Helping Hands on the years, the charity that they have been involved with through the county through the years has been nothing short of just fantastic for Dillon County. So anything can change on that regard. The county must, we look at the county, they must support it somewhat because they're handing us they're granting us $50,000 a year, which just they've given us $250,000 for the golf course. So I take that as the county being supportive of the golf course. But where I'm behind the golf course is you also got the Dillon Christian School that makes the golf course their home venue. Lakeview and Laddo's golf teams play at Dillon. But to me, it all comes back to people raising money. The Shrine Club, the American Red Cross, the scholarships through the high school, the Christian school, the Coalition on Domestic Abuse, Humane Society. Those are just a few to name that go out there and try to raise money. I don't know if they'd have another way of raising that type of money here. That's why I support the golf course. I used to play a lot of golf. I hardly play anymore. But I support it strictly for that. You also have the clubhouse out there that's used for things that you really don't have any other area, a place to do those type of functions. I think you went to one last month on
Harlem and Downtown.
Yeah, you got the German Society Club, the Killian Club, weddings that take place out there. So there's a lot of things that golf course and the part of it that we do not have any control over, but still plays an active, vital part of our community. There is no right or wrong on this golf course on it. You either think it's a vital part of the community. If you don't, it's not because you hate the golf course. I think you look at it from a revenue standpoint of what's happened and the money we've spent is understandable. That's my opinion. I'm not into the camp to buy it simply because it's way above fair market value, number one. But I also don't want to just systematically close. John?
Todd, I think that's a great position. Obviously, I would like to see us be able to buy it if the price were right. If we bought it, we would be able to apply for grant money. We would be able to improve it and make it a better course. But we can't do that. We can't get PRT grants if we don't own it. But we don't make money on any of our recreation projects. I really think it's truly important that that golf course stay viable for the community for at least the next 2 years. I think from an industrial development standpoint, from a recruiting standpoint, from the ability to be able to attract the executives that are going to come here with the plants and the industries that hopefully we're going to get, and I feel like we are. That's one thing that they're going to look for. It's truly a quality of life issue. So I'll put it on the table as a motion that we extend the lease for the time being for 2 years with the understanding that we continue to work to try to make it lose less money. I know it's not going to make money, but we at least try to tweak the cost out there and find a way to increase play. So I'll put that in the form of a motion to extend the lease for 2 years.
That's second. Hold on a minute, we still got discussion?
Yeah.
Okay. Of course, I'm the only one, I guess, that's outspoken against the golf course. I'm not against the golf course itself. I'm against the city of Dillon being involved in the golf course. The mayor touched on some things, but I want to make y'all understand how the money's being distributed. The county has given us $250,000, and all that money should have went to the recreation department. But this council voted for it to go to the golf course. We have paid Mr. Robert Johnson $150,000 to lease his golf course. And the $737,000 that's come out of our hospitality fund could have been used to upgrade our communities and our parks. It could have been in our complex. We're depriving our children. Only the 1% play out of 99 here in the city of Dillon. And I think we're looking out for y'all. And I could be misspoken, but when you've lost or spent $1 million and you have no return on your investment, then I think it's time you cut your losses and put that money to where it's in good use. And I'm not here to have a big debate. Me and Dr. Wallace have gotten in it before about the golf course, but I just feel like I should be able to, and I thank you, Mayor, for giving me an opportunity to see how I feel about it. We should share that money amongst the communities in Maple Park, Harmon Park, and other parks that are in the communities. And we have deprived our communities when we put $1 million in something that we haven't had a return on. So thank you for letting me speak my opinion. And I hope this council, other council members will explain why they're in favor of keeping the golf course. And hopefully we can table your motion and we can put a public hearing to the community out here to where they can voice their concerns on how they feel about it. And then after that, we have another month or so, we can make a decision going forward. Thank you, Mayor.
Anybody else have anything?
I do think it's important to note that no tax money has been used to support that golf course.
Yes.
That money is coming through the hot foods tax that's being collected through the restaurants in the city of Dillon. which a majority or at least a good portion of that money is being paid by tourists and not citizens of the city of Dillon. I agree, Johnny, that, we have neglected some of our other parks. But I think it's more than that. I think this is something that, from an industrial development, recruitment standpoint, they're things that industries look for. They look for good schools, they look for good housing, and they look for quality of life in the community.
What parks have we neglected?
All of them can't be like when we built at the Wellness Center. We haven't spent the money like we built on that one 4 years ago. Wish all of them could be.
They're not going to be kept.
Well,
I mean, we put basketball goals over there in Newtown, and they last about a week. I mean, I don't know that we have neglected any part. That, I mean, you haven't brought things to us and we said, no, we didn't have the funds. Have we?
no, I haven't.
I hate to think that we neglected somebody. And the fund now, and the 2% hot meals tax has really changed the way we look at recreation and in the city of Dillon. It helps us with the finance of the wellness center. It also helps us with the finance of back in the golf course. There's not a lot of ways you can spend that money. We can't just keep on accumulating. And not that we have a tremendous surplus in that account, but we're doing well with it. Janet, how much do we have in it?
$694. How much? $694.
Yeah, $694.
Does that include the annual thing?
We just
We just made the annual payment.
Yeah.
So the payments for the fitness, the wellness center is $242,000 now. It was $256.
230 something.
Yeah, 239, 474.
Yeah. So, there's just so many ways that we can spend that money. And if we can do it in a way that helps entice industry so that our children can have jobs when they grow up here and grow our community, I think that's an important thing. But I didn't realize that we were neglecting our children. And that,
Well, not Dr. Wallace,
if
I'm not.
we're neglecting them, I'd love to know
We're
about it.
neglecting
Know
our
how,
parks.
know a plan that we can have so that we don't neglect them, because I don't want to do
Well,
that.
not only that, how many times have I sit up here on council and I've asked Glenn, let's throw some money in our complex out there. Let's make it more attractive to where we can bring more tournaments and make a revenue.
We're not doing that?
Yes, we've done that.
We've done it, but not at the cost of the $1 million
How
we
much more,
spend.
Steve?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of stuff we
What you
can do out
plan?
there.
What you plan? How much you want to spend?
And not only that, we could go back to our parks. Harmon Park is in dire need of having new equipment. I mean, that equipment's been there 30 years, 40 years. I don't know, I can't speak for Miss Manning's park, but I'm thinking she,
Replaced that recently.
but go
We
back
did
to
some,
but go
not
back to
all.
Mr. Brady's point, the $250,000, and I can stand to be corrected, but that is taxpayers' dollars.
Coming from the county?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I mean, in the 60-40, I think your variances are wrong. I think it's 60% the city and the county use the 2% hospitality versus the 40%, but that can be debated. I just feel like the $1 million that has been spent in the golf course could have been spent in other areas. In fact, you spoke of a therapeutic pool at one time at the wellness center, but we could have spent it in that, the $1 million we spent at the golf course. We can debate it all day long. I'm just trying to tell you how I feel about it. Everybody else has an opinion up here. But to renew the lease on a golf course that we spent so much money in and haven't got a return on our investment, it just don't make good sense to me.
I just feel like I'm in the middle. I can see both sides, and I'm just in the middle. And I'm concerned about the fundamental part, and I can understand what you're saying as far as growing. And it just puts me in the middle.
Well, that's why I've suggested a 2-year lease, not a 5-year. I did the 2. And, you got $694,000 in that fund. You just paid the $224,000 note last month. So that fund's going to probably get close to $1 million before you got to do it again, before the note comes due again, depending on the expenditures from the wellness center and the golf course. That fund, that money needs to be spent on other things right now. One of them, we did the grants for Main Street. And I know, Johnny, you brought up in those grants. I think those grants can come out of those funds.
If you can gear it towards tourism. I mean, it's all got to be tourism.
That would be a tremendous boost to our uptown.
Yeah, that would have to be tourism related, but it could to some degree. I mean, I don't think you can use a lot of it, but you could do some.
But how blessed we are to have that kind of money. There are very few communities our size that have that kind of fund available to spend on quality of life, to spend on downtown development, to spend on tourism-related activities.
But what I'm saying, bring your project to council to be discussed and to use it for what you want to use it for, and sell the rest to council on it. If it's a good idea, it'll get bought, it'll pass. So if you think an area needs to be addressed, bring it because it's there. And I think most of us would support a good project that you see in your district or whatever is there to spend now.
Well, lastly, I'd like to ask you if we could table the motion that you made so we can get the citizens' input on how they feel about it. We waited a month to table it before. Why can't we got till May to redo the lease if we're going to go that route, but give the citizens an opportunity to come after they see all these meetings on Hometown TV and Dillon Herald and possibly the News Tonight, and let them have their input on how they feel. We represent them, and I think they should have a voice in what we're trying to do.
I don't have a problem bringing it back at April. I mean, that's fine.
Got a motion and a second.
Can I rescind and make a motion to table it and see if I can get a second?
Put it out there.
How does it work? How do I need to do that?
You have to get Johnny to rescind it.
Would you rescind your motion, Mr.
Not
Brown?
at this point. I think we've all had community input at this point.
I've got a lot.
We've all been hearing from the citizens.
All right, you got a motion, you got a second. All in favor, do so by raising your hand. Aye. All opposed?
Opposed.
Yeah, Mr. Bryan. All right, last month I brought to you where I had received, our council on aging, Johnny Spivey had received 3 bids to do some renovations on front of the building that the actual city owns, which he had went to the Bar of Architectural Review either in November or December to get approval to do some changing or to do some repairs on the front of that building. Last month I gave you 3 bids. The lowest was $29,892. The middle bid was $31,159, and the high bid was $32,353. There were some discussions about putting it out and advertising and rebidding it, which I did, and it was in the Dillon Herald on 2 separate occasions, February 20th and February 22nd, requesting bids and the scope of the work that was a part of this bid process. They were due today at 5 o'clock and did not receive a bid. So I would ask that council make a motion and accept the lowest bid, which was provided by GBI Contractors. That is correct, for $29,892.
Make the motion.
I have a motion, have a second. All in favor? Opposed?
Third item I had is an item that Councilman Eller and Councilman Brady had pushed through, was the removing of the medians and islands on East Main Street, and actually from 301 back to 4th Avenue area. Bert and his crew started on that last week. In fact, took out the little island that was in front of the Council on Age building on the right side of the road. That has now been taken out. We've done some little bit of remarking and put some asphalt in that spot. And as I was noticing today, traffic was flowing good. There was 14 cars in all 3 lanes at that stoplight. Here in the next week or so, pending weather, Bert will start doing the middle island. And once we get that out, then that'll open up some more space. We'll come back probably with a contractor to resurface that section where we've taken out, and also go over where we just took out last week, resurface that section. And then next year, as we've been told, C-Funds is looking to resurface it from curb to curb, from the stoplight back to 4th Avenue sometime in 2019. So hopefully by Easter, which was our goal, was to have this completed this year. So we're moving right along with that.
When are they going to do 301?
Probably sometime in April. They will not, the state's policy is they will not do any resurfacing until they have at least a week of guaranteed 70-degree weather.
So we're not going to replace that?
We have replaced, how much did we replace, Hardy?
100 foot.
100 foot of what we've done.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it was under the...
Well, it is. Right there, Pizza Hut area.
Right.
You can see where we've made some road cuts there.
Right.
That's what we've replaced.
Okay.
We're not going to be able to touch that other until down the road, just because of the cost of that, to replace that water line. We were hoping to prior to them resurfacing, but we won't be able to.
Where are we on the water tower?
Right now, the same place we were
Okay.
2 weeks ago.
Thank you for moving forward on that. I think that's going to really help the flow of traffic when we get into the busy beach traffic
I think it will also.
season.
I think it will.
Not only better flow of traffic, it's going to be a lot safer for the ambulances and the police vehicles and emergency responders that have to go through that intersection.
Is that part of the evacuation route, or is it directed?
The evacuation route comes up down Deerwood to Jackson Street. There's signage that they have for it. Just to let you know what we're doing within the city, something that we've been doing for a number of years now, where all our full-time and part-time employees get certified in CPR and first aid. Most of everybody's expired here in the last 2 or 3 months. And for the last 2 months, Chief Bailey and Fireman Bubba Grinsley has certified 70 of our 80 full-time employees. We've got one more class tomorrow, which includes about 10. And then we have roughly 15 part-time people that we're going to do in April. So all of our employees, as of tomorrow, full-time, will be certified in first aid and CPR. Which takes, it's about a 6-hour class that we do once a week or twice a week, depending on everybody's schedule. Lastly, I have tonight Bridget Thornton, our downtown coordinator. As you know, she began working with us in January. She's here tonight to kind of give you an update on what's going on in downtown and what she's gearing up to do. Bridget?
Do I need to come forward? Or?
That'd be great. Don't see you.
Where do y'all want me to stand?
That's good right there, or wherever you like.
I'm going to slide over here.
Okay.
Greetings, everyone. So I missed last month, so I'm going to roll y'all back to the month of January. I'll let y'all know what I've been working on. So in January, I started working on our needs assessment for Main Street. So I created a survey and we distributed that to all the businesses downtown, and we're still waiting for some of those to come back. We also had some county employees and just different citizen participation to take that survey and let me know what their thoughts were about where we were downtown, what our downtown, how they felt about our downtown basically. I did make contact with each business owner downtown. I've been working to create a database and for each of the businesses that wanted to give me their information. Some people didn't. So I have that. And so now when I get ready to send out a communication, I can send out a mass communication and they can respond back to me. So that is done. I also conducted a physical inventory of Main Street, and I have that here. If any of y'all care to look at that, it'll be available after the meeting. And if I have any questions, I'll be glad to answer your questions. And also, we sent letters to each of the vacant property owners on Main Street, and our intent there was to try to find out what was going on. Were they interested in selling the building, or were they interested in finding a tenant for a building? So I also had that information to know, what people are looking to do with that building, with their buildings that they own. Glenn also asked me to speak to y'all about our grants. So currently, the City of Dillon was already in process of working on a pedestrian planning grant, and I've just come on board with that to assist with that grant. That will take place, the steering committee and the focus groups for that grant will take place on March the 27th and 28th. That will be going on at the Wellness Center. I'm also in the process of very beginning stages of working on the CDBG neighborhood revitalization grants. That application will be due September of this year. What we're looking to do with that grant, we're looking to be able to incorporate sidewalks, lighting, signage, landscaping, and also security cameras on the Main Street corridor. The security is a component of the grant, so we have to cover the security. How these two grants are working together, the pedestrian planning grant is going to provide the actual process of how we'll go about. Are y'all familiar with the 4 corridors? Glenn, do they know about that? The 4?
It's been a long time. At that time it was 2. We were talking about Martin Luther King up to Rafford Boulevard and First Avenue to Rafford.
Okay, so let me rewind so we all be on the same page. With the pedestrian planning grant, there are 4 corridors that we're looking at incorporating sidewalks. So the first one would be Commerce Drive, so that the kids from the high school could potentially use the sidewalks and walk to the Wellness Center.
All the way to Rafford?
No, we stopped at the Wellness Center. Was that the?
No, there's actually, you could go from there, from 301 down Commerce to Rafford, because it's going to tie back in to Enterprise Road now and First Avenue. Martin Luther King.
Okay. So that's the thought process behind that first one. The second one is Enterprise Road where Walmart is. So that would tie in with the apartment complexes there, so people could walk safely from their apartment to Walmart to purchase groceries and safely back. Y'all follow me on that? Okay. The third one is Martin Luther King. You stop right now at Jackson Street, so we want to be able to pick up on the other side of Jackson Street and be able to go all the way out to Highway 9. Again, so that people can walk safely in the Jacksonville community down to the shopping areas and come back. And the fourth one, is First Avenue. Same concept, to be able to go from Main Street to Food Lion and back safely. And all those sidewalks we want to have lights, so it'd be a well-lit area in the evening time also. Make sense? Okay, y'all follow? Okay, the third thing that we're working on is the festivals, and Amir talked about the St. Patrick's Day celebration that's coming up this week. If you go through town this afternoon, look at my headquarters. We're trying to get people, drum up the interest for it. It's our first time ever. We want people to come out, have a good time. But more importantly, I want the foot traffic back downtown so that it can help our downtown businesses. One of the main things on the survey that they said is there's no foot traffic. people just simply are not coming downtown. So with these festivals, we're hoping to get the foot traffic back into the downtown area so that people will shop at downtown businesses. The second one, we've also been working on Celebrate Main Street. That's the Chamber's big event, but we've been helping out. And I want to discuss next the meetings that I've been attending. So the first meeting that I attended here was on February the 15th, and that was the CDBG application workshop. Again, that was to help me get reacquainted with the CDBG program, and again, begin preparations for our application that we want to submit in September. I also met with Mr. Watson, who is one of the coordinators for the Small Business Development Center. And my reason in meeting with him is I've seen in our businesses, a lot of our business owners are struggling because they didn't have the right structure whenever they started their business. So with Mr. Watson, we are creating a pathway so that first-time business owners can go to him for assistance. He's going to help them develop a business plan and a financial prospectus that they can take to banks and hopefully get some small business loans that will help them buy materials or renovate their building. Whatever they need that they feel to help their business succeed. That's a pathway that we've set up already that's in place. I've also met with several members of the PDCOG, and I had a meeting with the Municipal Association of South Carolina, but that overlapped with another workshop that I was at. So I'm going to be rescheduling with her on that. And I had talked to Glenn about our program when I talked to Todd in January, I think it was. He was saying that he wanted leadership for Main Street. So I think what I would like to see us follow is what's called the Main Street approach. It's a program that's under the National Historic Preservation, which that's what we've been in for all these years past. But this program is a subsidiary of that program, and I think with what I'm hearing here, that's the best fit for where we're trying to go. As a result of that, I've asked Todd to let me, Glenn, to let me become a member of the national program so that I can get the learning materials and that I can train directly with them. The membership is $350 a year. Versus the state membership, they want us to have a budget of between $35,000 and $55,000 in the state of South Carolina just to become a member of their program. So my request is let me join the national organization, get the materials, and try to incorporate those concepts for our businesses downtown. And that's...
How about the opportunity?
Oh, the opportunity zone. Okay, so the opportunity zone is a new program that Senator Tim Scott brought to the state of South Carolina, and we don't have a lot of information about it. It was real rush. But what we did was we submitted an application for the city of Dillon. We had to submit the application based on our census tract. So we submitted it for census tract 9704, which is the city of Dillon. And it's in motion. We're getting a lot of phone calls about it. We haven't been approved for it yet, have we? We haven't been approved for it yet. But just a little bit about that as far as I understand it thus far. Being certified as an opportunity zone will allow private industries to come in and fund projects that we want. So you were talking about the parks. All of these projects that we're looking to do in the future with the right type of funding coming in, all these projects could be covered in a short amount of time. So that's how it would benefit us. So that's why that was important to us to apply for that.
it's based on low to moderate income, which
Right.
citywide we pretty much qualify. However, the state of South Carolina, there are well over 100 communities in our state who qualify under low to moderate income. But the Department of Commerce can only pick 25%. And we're hoping we're one of those 25%. And it's just something that came out probably 3 weeks ago, and they gave you a week to apply. So that we have applied. Congressman Wright's office called last week to discuss it with Bridget. So where it goes, we're not really sure, but we know we put our name in the pot and hoping to draw some interest and throw some money our way.
You're working with the top.
At the COG, I'm working with Shannon, I think it's Mizzou.
What's her last name? Shannon?
What's called screen?
Okay.
Only reason I'm saying it because Clay Young with the COG, and
Right.
calls me and offers himself quite often. So
He's
they
in the
wanna-
planning department.
Yeah, but he's also very helpful in the grant department.
Yeah.
While you're talking about these, the grants and everything, I would like for you to try to help us get an understanding or try to get like a HUD grant to where we can tear down these dilapidated houses that are condemned. I know they got to go through the process, the air props, the process and everything, but I understand we can only do one per year per block. But I think through a HUD grant, we can tear down more through this possible grant. I've had some constituents approach me on it, and I'm in the works of talking to an individual to get more understanding. But I would like for you to, if you could, possibly, I know you got a lot on your plate, but that would also help beautification of our community if we could start tearing down some of these houses, because one per year per block, we're getting nowhere.
So what you're talking about is called a neighborhood stabilization grant. It's NSP, is a short version of it.
Okay.
And that is something that we'll definitely be looking into. That's in my line, which has been community development. That's where I come from. But that's called an NSP.
Okay.
And so we'll definitely be exploring some things with that.
Okay.
Bridget, can I ask you a couple quick
Yes, sir.
questions? At the last meeting, we had one of the downtown business owners come to us about not being able to do sidewalk sales and having to, and I know Benny, you've been involved in this as well, about having to go through the process of requesting an exception to be able to place items out on the sidewalk. Are we making any progress on doing that?
Yes, Benny and I have talked about it. Hopefully next month we'll bring back change in our ordinance.
Good.
But we're just trying to find a safe and fair distance between the building and how
Right.
far they can go out. Because different buildings are set back further than some, their storefront is.
Right.
But we're talking probably no more than 2.5 feet to encroach on the state right of way. And if that's the case, and we bring that back to council, and you got a good planning and zone,
Yes, sir.
so it would go to them and then it'd come to council for
Okay.
first
Good.
reading,
Glad you're
hopefully
working
next
on
month
that.
or a month after.
Because that does help bring foot traffic downtown too. How about the two buildings that we did the major upfit grants for? How are the progress?
One of them, Mr. McLeod, who got the condemned building here in the middle of Main Street, he's cleaned out, if not all of what was in it, hadn't started any construction. The one by the Council on Aging building, I don't think they've done anything as of right now. They've both been notified to let them know, you've got to get something done prior to June 1st. And then Bridget has notified all the facade grantees, I guess, last week.
I also talked to Mr. Hudgens
Oh, did you?
too. He was waiting on an asbestos inspection. And the contractor that he had for that did not show and had been giving him the runaround. So he met with another contractor last week. So he said as soon as he get that, I think it takes 2 weeks for the
Probably.
asbestos to come back. So as soon as it come back, he said his contractors can get his roof up in 3 weeks, is what he said.
Thank you for what you're doing.
Yes, sir.
One more thing, We talked about the 2-hour parking uptown. I had several people contact me and ask me to bring this up, and I didn't think about it at the time. And for instance, Merle Norman, they got a beautician, Paula or whatever you call it, to cut hair and do hair and everything. And it was suggested that you park behind the business and you come down the alleyway, and you know, go and get your hair done or whatever you may want to do. But they said sometimes it takes longer than 2 hours. I don't know for sure, but they were trying to find out if it was possible through this council, because they're handicapped, and it takes longer than the 2 hours, and the walkway they have to walk to come to get their hair done or whatever. Is it possible to amend or look at it, the 2-hour parking? Because sometimes it's longer than 2 hours that they're having to wait.
2-hour parking for whom?
Well,
Someone that's handicapped. The handicap is exempt. If you park in a handicapped parking space.
Okay, so we are exempt for that.
If you're parked in, that's state law.
Okay, that's all I want to make sure, because I didn't have the answer for it. So they are exempt from having to worry about that. Okay.
Anybody with a handicap placard or license tag can park anywhere where there's designated parking and there's a time limit. They are exempt from that time.
Okay, that's all we need to do.
Thank you, Rick.
Yes, sir.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Citizens report, anything, anybody out in the audience?
I don't have any concerns, but I thank the council and the mayor for the professional way in their managing our city business. And it's my pleasure to have with us tonight the mayor's mother, Sarah Ann Davis.
Thank you. Unfinished business.
Talking about, well, giving reference to the city council in reference to the 2-hour parking, right? To my understanding, that's not a true statement that Glenn has made in reference to handicap parking, because this young lady here had brain surgery, right? She has a handicap sticker. The proximity from the handicap parking to the entrance of the building is a very short steps, all right, as opposed to her parking in the back of that building. They had her to move.
They did.
Yeah.
They did, and then we found out that the law was that you could park, if you got a placard or a license tag with handicap on it, you can park and there's no time limit.
Well, then they should have come back and redeemed themselves, right? So she's still parking in the back of the building where she should.
You can park in handicap parking.
Not only that, I think they should have more handicap parking down on Main Street, because one on every side isn't sufficient enough.
Well, that's a council call. That's
Oh, well, I'm just putting that out there to address that, right? And not only that, to talk about 2-hour parking, right? It's not being enforced properly. Some people are being harassed, and some people aren't. If you're going to enforce it overall. Don't just have it to be selective enforcement. It has to be enforced altogether if you're going to have an ordinance. And that's my concern here, is they're not doing due diligence. You have an ordinance, enforce it.
Getting back to the handicap, I would like to find out how many handicap parking spaces we do have throughout the main street, and maybe bring it back to the council and see if we need to add another one or two here and there to
There's one on
accommodate.
each side on each block.
Say it again, Bert.
One on each side on each block.
And there's
That's
a
something we might need to look at.
there's a formula that
Yeah, the state figured that whenever we redid
Oh,
Main
okay.
Street.
Did it?
there's a formula for that. Not saying you can't have all of them handicapped, but there is a formula to figure out how many per sections or whatever. And then we have them in all the public parking, if I'm not mistaken, handicap parking, off-street parking.
They're going to enforce it, because they got me a ticket. I think just the threat, if they say they can do it once a week, they don't tell you which day. Just the threat of them doing it.
But they're not doing that. We're one of the businesses that get harassed, so we feel like we're being targeted. because I've got pictures in my phone that I've been taking pictures every day since they came to our building and harassed us about moving our vehicles. And it's cars that's parked across the street that's there all day, every day, and is not being enforced. And I don't think it's fair. I feel like our business specifically is being targeted. I don't know if it's dealing with race or what. I don't want to make it a racial issue, but as she said, if you're going to enforce it, it needs to be applied across the board and not just a specific business or specific people. Because anytime we park there, the police are called and they come and make us move our vehicles. But we don't call the police and harass them about the other people that's been there all day. But if you're going to... Excuse me?
You a business owner?
No, but I work in a business where, like I said, they're calling the police on us literally about every week about something.
Oh, I agree. I mean, I think of another business owner there, they stopped me before. They're pretty adamant about forcing it from the other business owners parking on Main. So we will enforce it. We'll force it your area. We're going to enforce it where I'm at.
Okay.
I know it's been forced where I'm at.
Well, it's not enforced. I promise you, I can give you my phone now and let you see the pictures of the vehicles I've been taking pictures for the last month that still park in front of their building or a few spaces from their building every day. And our business is doing things for the community. We have the food program. We feed the homeless Monday through Friday. So the parking behind our building gets crowded because we have different people coming in getting services and getting food that we provide to them. So we can't always park in the back because it may not be a parking space when we try to park back there.
All right, we'll be sure it's enforced.
Todd, get back to the handicap parking. If you got a handicap sticker, and they can tell them wrong, I think the law says that if you got a handicap sticker or a handicap license plate, you can park in a regular parking space, and the 2-hour don't apply as long as your car is placard, correct? It don't have to be in a handicap parking space.
So you say you can park in any parking spot?
Yeah, if you got a handicap, make sure we're right with that. Please, you can park in any handicap spot, any handicap or non-handicap spot. Right.
As long as you got the flag.
As long as you got the flag, right.
Okay.
And then that 2-hour don't apply.
That's good.
Don't have to be a handicap parking space.
All right, thank you. All right, back to unfinished business, none. Anybody else? Going forward, unfinished business, we have none. New business, we have any council member reports. Mr. Ellis.
Yes, I'd like to ask Janet, last month, going to the wellness center, in the revenues, membership for the wellness center.
This is in this month's report.
Well, I got last month's report and I got this month's
We'll
report.
have
and
this
there's a
month, I mean,
differentiation.
last month with us. Do you?
No, I have that.
Let's look and see.
And I was wondering why the big variance in the line item.
Which line item?
The wellness, the membership for the wellness center, in January, $32,552. And this month here, we only did $15,000.
So January had a special going on. January is always going to be our largest month in collections because that's when we do mostly our specials and that's when everybody's coming out of the holidays and wants.
Well, I mean, we made a revenue that month there, you know.
Annual
membership. So,
We do have something.
I mean, that's a big difference, you know. Maybe we might need to run that promotion a little bit more often or something to where, you know, we can encourage them to keep coming to the wellness center. You see it, Glenn?
15,000 for this past month, almost 16,000. That is correct. But that would have been it. January is a good month for us.
Okay. Overtime in the police department. I know we will have the overtime, but we've already used up or
Surpassed
exhausted.
it. Yes, sir.
Yep. I know we've lost some police officers, and I want to get back to the Walmart thing. Where does it show in the line items that they paid us for our security that we gave them during the holidays?
It'll go back into miscellaneous revenue and general fund.
So what does that normally run, Ms. Jan? How much money do we normally get back? Because that would take back off the overtime.
It's not that much. You're probably talking $1,000, yeah.
That's all?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So, I know you're down some officers, David. and I know we don't have any more money allotted for the overtime, but we're going to have overtime, I understand that. What are we doing? Are we running 4 per shift? Or do we-
Four per shift, and if we're short on a shift, we can run 3. We do not, if we have people call in sick or whatever, we normally do not try and run two per shift. We will call in somebody to make sure we have at least 3 per shift.
Right.
And I think that the numbers may be a little deceiving because we've been short-handed, so you have to bring in those people, so it hurts our overtime budget. And it just doesn't reflect, because we're not paying the regular salaries for those people we don't have employed. And plus we've got one officer in the police academy and one that is going to be leaving for the police academy in about 3 weeks.
Will that put you back to full staff? Or
I'm still short 1.
Still short 1? Okay. Promotion-wise, how are we coming with the 2 promotions that are available in the budget? Did we get that?
2 promotions?
Yeah, I thought we did. Did somebody get promoted recently?
Yeah, Monroe Heron was promoted to first sergeant.
Okay. Could we advertise it in the paper or something to show, that?
Sure. Absolutely.
Somebody got
We'll
promoted
put it on our
police
Facebook page.
Okay. And lastly, the mayor came by. We had a homicide in our district, our district I serve in, on the east side, and I didn't know the lady, but I really want to tell her thank you for what she done and rendering her services until the ambulances got there in the police department. It's a sad event, but I just wanted to tell her thank you. I think her name was Miss Cook. I don't know her personally, but she did an outstanding job, and our police department did also in trying to handle the situation and get everything under control. So I want to thank them for doing what they did. That's all I got.
All right.
The only thing I'd like to add is, just sitting here thinking, and it's been 19 years since I served on council, and one of the reasons when I got on council was pro-recreation, pro-quality of life. I had 4 young children at that time, and my hopes was that Dillon would offer them something to come back to Dillon for. And I think as a council, we are providing that more so than ever. I know of at least probably 10 recent college graduates that have chosen to come back to Dillon and make Dillon their home. In the past years, we haven't been having that. We've had kids graduate from college and never come back to Dillon. And I really think between us and the industry perhaps coming in, the housing market, all that is playing a vital role in getting our young people to put their interest back in their hometown. So, and I'd like to say that. So.
There was a house, on 3rd and Calhoun. Did it come down on its own, or did?
No, ma'am.
But
That
taken
one
down?
wasn't supposed to. Someone was taking some things out of that house,
I saw someone walking around.
and it collapsed.
Okay, so it came down on its own.
Yeah, it came down on its own, yes. In fact, I've been in contact with DHEC for the last 2 or 3 days about whether or not we can touch it. And we
It's been a long
can.
time.
We can touch it if we spend the money to do the asbestos and the hazmat study on it. Even though it's laying on the ground, that's what DHEC told me today. So I told them that right now we're not going to do it. We're putting it back into the property owner's hands, because just less than 6 months ago we tore down the house that was right beside it. And we can do that and not have to do any hazmat or studies or have anything tested if we tear a house down within 1 block and nothing within that 1 block every year, or for a year. So this one that was right beside it, we tore down 6 months ago. So the one that just fell, we can't touch it because it's been less than a year. Or if we do touch it, we've got to do all this paperwork and have everything tested. So right now we're back in contact with the property owners. You can move it and you don't have to do anything.
I knew I saw someone walking around in there, I don't know if taking out planks.
They took out some, well, if you remember, There was no exterior, it was just a shell of a house, you know, just the studs, and then the roof was always there, except a front door. And somebody decided they wanted the door. And when they took the door out, I'm surprised nobody was inside when it happened when they took the door out. I'm surprised nobody was when they took the door out. And I don't know if it came down automatically, but I went by, I guess Thursday afternoon, about 4:30 or 4 to 5, and I saw it laying on the ground, and they were loading stuff up on a trailer. So we're in contact with DHEC on that one and with the property owner to see what they can get in.
And I think that railroad crossing I was telling you about, they replaced those crosswalks.
Good.
Yep.
Good deal. Good deal. And also, don't cut you short, I think last month for about a week and a half or so, they had put the police department put the speed sign down on South 3rd Avenue, and I think they did over there on Monroe Street also last month. So, if you know of any place, just give me a call if you have any concerns.
Could you move it to East Jefferson Street at some point beyond the Old Marion Road?
Yes, sir. East Jefferson beyond Old Marion?
Yes.
Will do.
That's okay.
Nothing else, I have a motion, we adjourn to go into executive session.
Make that motion, Dave.